When a homeless man approached Barron Trump on the bustling streets of New York City and asked, "Can you give me $1?" no one could have predicted what would happen next. The question seemed simple enough, a plea for a small amount of money, but the response it elicited was anything but ordinary. Barron, the youngest son of former President Donald Trump, is rarely in the public eye, making this interaction all the more fascinating. As people nearby watched the exchange, Barron paused for a moment, seemingly caught off guard. The man, dressed in tattered clothing and holding a cardboard sign, didn't appear to recognize Barron. To him, this was likely just another passerby, who might have some spare change, but what Barron did next left witnesses stunned. Instead of brushing the man off or reaching into his pocket for $1, Barron leaned in and asked the man a question of his own. "What do you need the money for?" It wasn't an interrogation, nor was it condescending. It was a genuine question, asked with curiosity and concern. The homeless man, clearly taken aback, hesitated before responding. He explained that he was hungry and hadn't eaten all day. Barron nodded and then did something that took everyone by surprise. He didn't pull out his wallet to hand over cash. Instead, he told the man to wait right there and walked into a nearby diner. A few moments later, Barron emerged, not with a single meal but with several bags of food. He handed the bags to the man and said, "This should get you through today and tomorrow, but tell me, how can I really help you?" The man, overwhelmed by Barron's generosity, began to tear up. He explained that he'd fallen on hard times after losing his job and struggling with health issues. Barron listened attentively, never once showing any sign of impatience or discomfort. When the man finished his story, Barron reached for his phone. He made a call, stepping aside to speak privately for a moment. When he returned, Barron handed the man a small card and said, "This is the contact information for a friend of mine who runs a shelter. They'll not only provide you with a safe place to stay, but also help you get back on your feet with job training programs and health support." The man stared at the card, stunned. He hadn't expected more than $1, and here was someone offering him a path to a better life. What makes this story even more remarkable is the way Barron handled the situation. He didn't draw attention to himself, nor did he try to make a spectacle of his actions. In fact, many people who witnessed the event noted that he seemed more interested in finding a meaningful solution to the man's problem than in simply giving him money and walking away. Barron's response has sparked a wave of admiration on social media. Many are calling his actions a reflection of empathy and maturity beyond his years. It's easy to forget that Barron, at just 18 years old, is still navigating life as a young adult. Yet, in this moment, he demonstrated a level of compassion and wisdom that left a lasting impression on everyone who saw it. The story has also reignited discussions about the responsibilities of those who are privileged to help those who are less fortunate. While many would argue that handing over $1 might have been the quickest and easiest solution, Barron's approach serves as a reminder that sometimes addressing the root of the problem is far more impactful than addressing the immediate need. In the days following the encounter, reports emerged that the man had indeed visited the shelter Barron had recommended. Staff at the shelter confirmed that he was receiving assistance, including meals, medical care, and job placement services. The man expressed his gratitude, saying that Barron's kindness had not only provided him with immediate relief, but had also given him hope for the future. It's rare for a story like this to capture so much attention, especially in a world where acts of kindness often go unnoticed. But perhaps what makes this moment stand out is the humility and sincerity with which it was carried out. Barron Trump didn't just give a homeless man $1, he gave him a chance to rebuild his life and regain his dignity. This encounter serves as a powerful reminder that small actions can lead to significant change. Whether it's taking the time to listen, offering a helping hand, or using resources to create opportunities for others, moments like these show that compassion can truly make a difference. And for Barron Trump, this was not just a random act of kindness, but a reflection of the values he holds and the impact he hopes to make. As the story continues to spread, it's inspiring countless others to think about how they can contribute to their communities. After all, kindness isn't limited to those with wealth or influence. It's something we can all practice in our daily lives. And sometimes, it starts with something as simple as saying, When Barron handed over the food bags and shared the shelter contact, the story could have ended there. But what happened next added even more layers to this incredible encounter. As the man thanked him profusely, Barron noticed the man's hands, trembling, not just from emotion, but from the cold. The winter chill in New York City can be unforgiving, and it was clear the man wasn't dressed for the weather. Without hesitation, Barron removed his own coat and draped it over the man's shoulders. Witnesses later recounted how the coat seemed oversized on the frail figure, but the gesture itself carried a warmth that no material item could replace. The homeless man was visibly moved, but Barron wasn't done. He turned to the man and said, "What else can I do for you right now? Be honest." The man hesitated, but finally admitted that his shoes had holes in them and were barely holding together. Barron immediately looked around and spotted a shoe store just a few doors down. Without a second thought, he asked the man to follow him inside. Inside the store, Barron told the man to pick any pair of shoes he wanted. The man, hesitant and overwhelmed, pointed to a modest pair, but Barron insisted, "Get something warm and durable, you'll need it." The man ultimately chose a sturdy pair of boots, and Barron paid for them, ensuring the man left with socks as well. Customers and staff in the store watched in awe as Barron carried himself with calm generosity, treating the man with respect and dignity. As they exited the store, another surprising moment unfolded. A woman who had been observing the interaction approached Barron and introduced herself as a journalist. She asked if she could write about what she had just witnessed. Barron, however, declined politely. "This isn't about me," he said. "It's about helping someone who needed it. That's all." His humility struck a chord with everyone around, further amplifying the respect people had for him. But the day didn't end there. Before parting ways, Barron handed the man some cash, not just $1, but enough to cover any immediate expenses he might have. He also gave the man his personal promise. "Call the shelter. They'll help you. And if you ever need more support, I'll make sure they stay in touch with you." This incident didn't just impact the homeless man, it resonated deeply with everyone who witnessed it. One bystander, a middle-aged father of 2, later shared his thoughts. "You see someone like Barron Trump, and you think he's just another kid born into privilege. But today, he showed us all what it means to use that privilege to make a real difference." The ripple effects of the encounter spread far and wide. Videos of the incident, discreetly captured by onlookers, started circulating online. In one clip, Barron can be seen speaking softly to the man, his body language calm and empathetic. In another, he's holding open the shoe store door, allowing the man to walk in first. These small gestures painted a picture of someone who genuinely cared, not someone looking for publicity or accolades. What's even more astonishing is that this isn't the first time Barron has been involved in helping others. Sources close to the Trump family have shared stories of his quiet philanthropy, often carried out without the media's knowledge. From volunteering at food drives to contributing to disaster relief efforts, Barron has repeatedly shown a commitment to giving back. Yet, he has always maintained a low profile, choosing to let his actions speak louder than words. In the days following the incident, the homeless man's life began to change dramatically. The shelter Barron referred him to provided immediate assistance, including a bed, meals, and medical care. But it didn't stop there. With Barron's connections and the shelter's resources, the man was enrolled in a job placement program. Reports later confirmed that within weeks, he had secured a stable job as a warehouse worker, marking the first step toward rebuilding his life. The story of Barron's actions has since sparked debates about the responsibilities of the wealthy and influential in addressing social issues. Some argue that this encounter highlights how individuals, regardless of their background, can step up and create real change. Others see it as a call to action for everyone to do more for those in need. Regardless of where people stand on these debates, one thing is clear. Barron Trump's response to a simple request for $1 has inspired countless others to look at homelessness through a more compassionate lens. It serves as a reminder that while we can't solve every problem overnight, we can all play a part in making the world a little kinder, one act at a time. As for the homeless man, he's not just grateful for the tangible help he received that day. In interviews, he's often said that what impacted him the most was how Barron made him feel, valued, respected, and seen. And in a world that often greeted the kids with a friendly smile and asked if he could join their game. The children, initially hesitant, quickly warmed up to him when they saw how genuinely interested he was in their fun. For the next 15 minutes, Barron played with them, laughing, running, and even joking about how bad he was at soccer, despite his towering height. As the game ended, Barron noticed the deflated ball and asked one of the kids, "Where did you get this?" The boy shrugged, explaining it was the only ball they had and they shared it among the group. Barron nodded thoughtfully, then told them to wait for a few minutes. He walked over to a nearby sporting goods store and returned shortly with a brand new soccer ball still in its packaging. The kids' eyes lit up when Barron handed them the ball. "Now you've got something that'll last a bit longer," he said. But Barron didn't stop there. He asked the kids if they played often, and when they nodded, he asked if they had proper gear for colder weather. They shook their heads, explaining that their families couldn't afford it. Without making a big deal of it, Barron went back to the store and bought gloves, hats, and scarves for each of the kids, ensuring they could continue playing even in freezing temperatures. The parents of the children, who had been watching from a distance, came over to thank Barron. One mother told him, "You didn't just buy them a ball, you gave them a reason to smile today." Barron shook her hand and replied, "They gave me a reason to smile too. It's the least I could do." Later that same day, as Barron was walking back to his car, another incident unfolded. An elderly street vendor selling handmade bracelets stopped him to offer one. The vendor explained that business had been slow lately and that every purchase helped him pay for his medication. Instead of brushing the man off, Barron took the time to admire the bracelets, eventually purchasing several. He didn't haggle or ask for a discount. Instead, he paid double the asking price and told the man to keep the change. The elderly vendor, touched by the gesture, insisted Barron take an extra bracelet as a gift. Barron accepted it graciously and asked the man how long he had been crafting jewelry. The two struck up a brief conversation, and Barron encouraged the man to consider showcasing his work online to reach more customers. Before leaving, Barron told him, "You're incredibly talented. People need to see what you can do." These additional acts of kindness further solidified the impression Barron left that day. Witnesses who shared these accounts couldn't help but emphasize his humility and genuine concern for others. He didn't act like someone seeking recognition or applause. He acted like someone who saw people in need and wanted to help, plain and simple. By the end of the day, Barron had not only helped a homeless man find hope, gifted children with warm gear and a new soccer ball, and supported an elderly vendor, but he had also inspired countless bystanders to think differently about how they could make a difference in their communities. One onlooker summed it up best. In a world where people are often judged by their last name or their wealth, Barron Trump showed us that kindness and compassion speak louder than anything else. He didn't just give, he listened, he cared, and he made people feel seen. That's something money can't buy. Later that evening, as Barron Trump was preparing to leave the area, another incident unfolded that once again highlighted his compassion. A street musician, sitting on the corner and playing a weathered acoustic guitar, caught Barron's attention. The musician's voice was soulful, but it was clear he was struggling to keep the crowd's interest. A small tin can in front of him held only a few coins, and his guitar had a broken string that made playing difficult. Barron paused, listening intently to the man's performance. When the musician finished his song, Barron walked up to him, clapping softly. "You have an amazing voice," Barron told him. The musician, clearly grateful for the acknowledgement, smiled and said, "Thank you. It's been tough lately, but music is all I have." Barron nodded and asked, "What do you need right now to keep going?" The musician hesitated, but eventually admitted that his guitar was old and nearly unplayable. He mentioned that he'd been saving for months to buy a new one but couldn't afford it. Barron asked him to wait a moment, then walked into a nearby music store. Witnesses later reported that Barron spent nearly half an hour speaking with the store owner, carefully selecting a high-quality acoustic guitar and even purchasing extra strings and a case. When Barron returned, The musician's face lit up with disbelief as Barron handed him the new guitar. "I hope this helps you share your talent with more people," Barron said. The musician, overwhelmed with gratitude, played a song on the spot to thank him. The small crowd that had gathered began cheering, and for a moment, the corner transformed into a mini concert. As Barron prepared to leave, the musician called out, "You didn't just give me a guitar, you gave me my dream back." Barron smiled and replied, "Keep playing. People need to hear your music." But the night wasn't over yet. On his way back to his car, Barron noticed a young girl standing outside a convenience store with a box of candy bars. She was trying to sell them to passers-by, explaining that she was raising money for her school's sports team. Many people walked by without paying attention, but Barron stopped and asked her about the fundraiser. The girl explained that her team needed money to buy new uniforms and travel for upcoming competitions. Barron didn't just buy one candy bar, he bought the entire box, handing her a generous amount of money. He then asked if her team had a sponsor. When the girl said they didn't, Barron told her to have her coach reach out to him through the contact information he provided. "Every kid deserves a chance to play and feel proud of their team," he said. Witnesses couldn't help but notice how Barron treated everyone he interacted with, whether they were a homeless man, a street musician, or a young girl, with respect and empathy. By the end of the night, Barron had made a significant impact on at least 3 lives and inspired dozens of others who saw him in action. The most remarkable part of the day was that Barron never once drew attention to himself. He didn't announce who he was, nor did he make any effort to showcase his generosity. Each act of kindness seemed to come from a genuine place of wanting to help, rather than a desire for recognition. When asked later why he had gone out of his way for so many people, Barron reportedly said, "I was just raised to believe that if you can help, you should. It's that simple." These stories of Barron's actions have continued to circulate online, sparking a wave of admiration for his humility and heart. They remind us all of the power of small acts of kindness and how much of a difference they can make when done with sincerity. For Barron Trump, that day was just another example of living by those values. For the people he helped, it was a day they would never forget.